Hackers are around since the dawn of computers, or we can say they are the most dangerous people in the world, and they've wreaked additional havoc than many people notice. Law enforcement has yet to catch up with several of their antics. Here is a roundup of the most well-known hackers and what they've become infamous for within the hacker community. 10. Adrian Lamo. Adrian Lamo was known as the destitute programmer for his transient way of life. In spite of that, he was prepared to hack into the inside PCs of the New York Times in 2002. This hack gave Lamo access to personal databases, as well as one that had the personal data of quite 3,000 people who had contributed to the paper's op-ed section. He was sentenced to 2 years of probation and punished nearly $65,000. Last, Lamo was back within the headlines for turning in Chelsea Manning for leaking classified U.S. Army documents. Lamo had previously hacked into the likes of AOL, Time Warner, Comcast, MCI WorldCom, Microsoft, SBC Communications, and Yahoo after discovering that these companies had enabled remote access to their internal networks via web proxies, a form of security by obscurity that allowed anyone who knew the proxy's web address and port range to browse internal shares and other network resources of the affected companies. 9. Kevin Mitnick. The United States Department of Justice known as him the most wished PC criminal in U.S. history. Kevin Mitnick's story is so wild that it had been even the premise for a feature film known as Catch. Once serving a year in jail for hacking into the Digital Equipment Corporation's network, he was let out for 3 years of supervised release. However, close to the tip of that amount, he fled and went on a 2.5-year hacking spree that involved breaching the National Defense Warning System and stealing company secrets. Mitnick was eventually caught and guilty with a 5-year prison sentence. After fully serving those years, he became an authority and public speaker for PC security. He currently runs Mitnick Security Consulting, LLC. 8. Albert Gonzalez. Albert Gonzalez started off as the leader of a hacker cluster known as Shadow Crew. In addition to stealing and selling MasterCard numbers, Shadow Crew also made up fraudulent passports, insurance cards, and birth certificates for fraud crimes. Albert Gonzalez sealed his thanks to net fame once he collected quite 170 million MasterCard and ATM card numbers over an amount of 2 years. He then hacked into the databases of TJX companies and region payment systems to steal all of their holds on MasterCard numbers in addition. 7. Robert Tappan Morris. Known as the creator of the primarily known laptop worm, Morris inherited his information of computers from his father, who was a man of science at Bell Labs and also the NSA. In 1988, when he was a student at Cornell University, he created the Morris worm to determine the dimensions of the Internet. However, because computers can be infected quite once, every infection caused computers to block even a lot of, and it rendered quite 6,000 computers unusable. Morris was arrested in 1989 as he was seen to possess violated the PC Fraud and Abuse Act. Morris was sentenced to 3 years probation, 400 hours of community service, and a fine of $10,050. He's currently an academic at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and the founder of Y Combinator. 6. Michael Kals. In February 2000, 15-year-old Michael Kals, also called Mafia Boy, discovered the way to take over networks of university computers and use their combined resources to disrupt the #1 search engine at the time, Yahoo. Within a week, he'd also brought down the Dell, eBay, CNN, and Amazon, employing a dedicated denial of service (DDoS) attack that weakened company servers and caused websites to crash. Kal's warning sign was maybe the foremost jarring for investors and net proponents. If the most important website within the world, valued at over $1 billion, might be so simply sidelined, was any online data actually safe? It is not an exaggeration to say that the event of law-breaking legislation suddenly became a high government priority due to Kal's hack. 5. Guccifer. Guccifer 2.0 is a person or organization which can break into the DNC, the National Democratic Committee, which had information coded and which they leaked to WikiLeaks. This material was read by the press. This high-profile prosecution was taken up by the U.S. government. The intelligence community has been faced with many challenges and cyber attacks have been undertaken. This group could also have intervened with the presidential election in the USA in 2016, but those allegations were not proven, although President Donald Trump claimed the election was being exploited. And it's Russian intelligence that people are behind it. But he won the election, so he's worried about it. 4. Lizard Squad. DDoS attacks are known. It's a dangerous way of attacking. Such attacks lead to manipulation, and hackers may interrupt the infrastructure to obtain access to personal information from people. One of their first major attacks was known to shut down a Lizard League of Legends servers. Other titles have been shut down like Destiny. The PlayStation networks and Xbox were shut down live by an intruder. There were major fake warnings by a lizard. The FBI was involved, and fortunately, the charges were unfounded. Twitter, Snapchat, and Tinder were also hacked. We said that a bomb was inserted into Sony's flight, on which the president was at the helm. John Smedley thought he was gone. 3. Jensen James Anchetta. Jensen James Anchetta did not have an interest in credit card data hacking schemes or collapsing social justice networks. Rather, Anchetta was concerned about the use of bots, software-based robots that manipulate computer systems and ultimately control them. In 2005, he was able to compromise over 400,000 computers using a series of large-capacity botnets. He was then lent to advertising firms, according to Ars Technica, and also charged to load bottoms or adware directly on certain computers. A 57-month prison sentence was awarded to Anchetta, and the first time a botnet technology hacker was sent to prison. 2. Jonathan James. Jonathan James hacked into numerous businesses with the alias Comrade. The New York Times said, however, that his hack into the United States Department of Defense's computers was what really won him recognition. The most shocking was that James was only 15 at the moment. James was charged in 2000, sentenced to 6 months of house arrest, and forbidden from using software for fun. Nevertheless, he was sent to 6 months in jail for a probation violation. Jonathan James was accused of violations of the rules on cybercrime as the youngest person. In 2007, TJX was hacked, a department store, which affected its consumers. In spite of the lack of evidence, investigators believed James could be involved. In 2008, Jonathan James finally shot himself. 1. Kevin Poulsen. Sometimes in their daily lives, hackers may seem perfectly harmless. Take the famous and legal website, Kevin Poulsen, now Wired.com editor for the news. Nevertheless, he was once a Black Hat's programmer who was doing such tricks that by hacking their telephone lines he was the 102nd recipient, earning a portion 944s2 from Kiss FM. Like other hackers, by finding MySpace users who were searching for child porn, he used his resources for the greater good. Nevertheless, he also picked up FBI machines and eventually completed a 5-year term. He has since written, not just Wired, but his novel Kingpin has concentrated on his writing career. Some of these top hackers aim to form the world an improved place, others to prove UFO theories. Some wish cash and a few hope for fame, however, all played a critical role in the evolution of cybersecurity. That's all for today. Join us next time by subscribing and hitting the bell notification.